NewsCenter3 on WTVX, presented on Bethany Cable TV3 by the Bethany College Department of Communication. I'm Vanessa Stafford.
And I'm Keith Biasecki.
The top stories on tonight's newscast. For a plea for help from Bethany students come from the Department of Safety and Security. We'll tell you why.
And it's time for turkey dinners, and Bethany's Relive Food Service is providing the means for Bethany to have a Thanksgiving celebration away from home. We'll tell you more.
And tonight is the second night of the Bethany College Theater production Free. We'll give you the storyline.
Stay tuned for these stories, plus weather from Marilyn McCloskey, sports highlights from Jamal Robinson, and an interview of John Cunningham by J.C. Catherine.
This is NewsCenter3 for Thursday, November 10th, 1994. Students are asked to help in the fight against the ever-growing problems of drinking, arson, and fighting. Mike Dixon, Bethany's Director of Safety and Security, put the challenge up to the students Monday night at the Student Board of Governors meeting. His plea is for students to help him in his fight against the dangers that are plaguing the campus. With a recent alcohol-related car accident, habitual speeding on the campus, and a fire possibly caused by arson, Dixon says students need to support the hardworking volunteer firefighters and EMT workers and come forward with the names of those at fault for the many problems. Dixon says students have helped him in the past, and he hopes they will continue to help him in the future. His final appeal to students is, in his words, to their sense of responsibility and decency. Are you ready for Turkey Day? Well, Bethany's Benham Commons will be turkey-infested next Tuesday evening. That's when the annual Thanksgiving dinner will be held. Tables will be arranged with 6 places apiece and must be predetermined to avoid lines. Tickets for the dinner can be picked up before the afternoon of November 15th in the main dining hall. Guest tickets can be purchased for a small fee. The dinner is scheduled for 5 and 6 o'clock on that evening.
Where would you find a magical floating man named Free who prefers to make beds for a living? Tonight, the answer is right here at Bethany College. The Bethany College Fine Arts Department will be performing the play Free tonight, November 10th through Saturday, November 12th in Wells Theater. Reservations can be made by calling area code 304-829-7124. The play, which stars 15 Bethany students and a number of alumni, is directed by Eric Margin, Assistant Professor of Fine Arts. Professor Margin obtained the play, which has won several awards in London and New York, directly from its playwright. Showtime begins at 8 o'clock each evening.
Huntington police have charged a teenager with the October 22nd shooting deaths of 2 men. The suspect, Mark Anthony Washington, is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Washington is currently being held without bond in the Dunbar Youth Facility.
Authorities say a man has made his second escape in 14 months from a Roane County prison. 28-year-old James Dye of Newton made his escape while at a magistrate court hearing. Dye apparently made his escape by slipping out of a pair of leg irons and then running past a security guard post at the door.
Light rain overnight helped firefighters battling West Virginia's forest fire. According to officials, the fires continue to smolder and will most likely flare up again this weekend. Crews are now working to cut off smoldering thickets from the surrounding brush.
A school bus driver from Morgantown helped save a 6-year-old girl from choking. Driver Bill Barnett performed the Heimlich maneuver on Alicia Hardman when the 4-inch lollipop she was eating became lodged in her throat. Alicia's sister Tiffany says that the lollipop got stuck in her sister's throat when the school bus hit a bump. A familiar face may be changing positions at the West Virginia State Legislature. Senator Finance Chairman L. Ray Tomblin believes he can win the next Senate presidency. He claims to have the governor's campaign backing in a quest for the post. The position is vacant because the former president lost his re-election bid to another Republican. The election will be held in December. So, Marilyn, what can we expect from the weather and this week's big soccer game?
Well, it seems like we're going to have some nice sunny weather for this week and for this weekend. Stay tuned for the complete weather picture, plus sports highlights from Jamal Robinson. But first, check out tonight's trivia question.
Yeah, so what do we do? I'd like to go. Well, I'd love to. Now it's one help to visit us. You want to what? Let's go. I'd really like to. Well, maybe not. How about we go? I want to learn how to make a movie. I'd like that. Yeah, that sounds like a fun year. Well, what about the Girl Scouts? As great as you want to make it.
All right, Penguin, make sure we're not wasting water. And Rats, check that the house is properly insulated. And the best thing, make certain we're recycling all our bottles, cans, and paper.
Gee, Piggy, what can we do to help the environment?
Let's not waste electricity.
To find out what you can do to help, write to Make a Difference, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
What's up?
Hi, currently today the high was set at 50, the low at 36. The wind is at 8 miles per hour, the barometer set at 30.30, and there was no precipitation. In Pittsburgh, it was 49 degrees, Wheeling, 51, Washington, 48, Morgantown, 48, and Bethany at 51. Now to look at our highs map. We have some rain through the central part of the United States and some nice sun down into Florida, some cloudiness over into the Great Lakes, and also some sun and clouds over into California. Now to look at the highs. We have some 80s down into Florida and Texas, some 70s into Georgia, and up into the east, we have some 60s. On our radar, we have no precipitation currently, so let's move on to the satellite. We have some cloud covering down into Florida, all the way up into the Great Lakes, and also some over into Oregon. Now for tonight's forecast. It will be clear with the low from 30 to 35. For tomorrow, it will be sunny and mostly cool with a high from 50 to 55. For Saturday, it will be mostly sunny with a high in the 50s to 55. And for Saturday, mostly sunny with a high from 50 to 60. A regional jury will soon be deciding the fate of a convicted New York murderer. The man from Albany, charged with the murder and robbery of a 76-year-old man, is on trial in Toledo. The jury must decide whether he will receive life in prison or death in the electric chair. The convicted killer was supposedly on cocaine at the time of the murder.
The road to peace in the Middle East may be getting shorter. At least that's the hope in the latest development overseas. A White House spokesman reports that Iraq is formally beginning to recognize Kuwait. However, this alone won't end UN sanctions against the Iraqi government. Prisoners must be released, weapons dismantled, and property returned to Kuwait before any real progress can be claimed.
The U.S. wants international fighting to come to a halt. In fact, America may not yet lift the arms embargo against Bosnia. This would be done to force Serbs to end the war in that country. Although some are concerned about the safety of UN peacekeepers in the Middle East, a U.S. ambassador claims the war has gone on long enough and that something must be done to end it.
An international leader claims his country and another are making significant progress in the struggle for peace. That's from the mouth of Jordan's King Hussein and the Israel Prime Minister today signed a peace treaty. Both men hope the peace treaty will at least encourage future peace between other fighting countries.
A suburban Columbus construction company and its owner are being indicted for violating workplace safety regulations that led to the 1993 death of one employee and the injury of another. The indictment claims that Mark Pyron of Quality Tower Service allowed John Garrow to ride a hoist to the top of a 200-foot transmission tower to dismantle it. Garrow fell 70 feet to his death and injured another worker. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration says that Quality Tower committed 2 violations and 8 serious violations in this accident. OSHA is proposing $97,000 in fines for the violations.
United Food and Commercial Workers Union 954 narrowly passed a new contract with Kroger supermarkets in Northwest Ohio. A voting threatened to strike. The contract will provide the unionized workers at 19 Ohio Kroger's bonuses that range from $50 to $250 a pay, an increase from 15 cents to 65 cents an hour. Local 954 President Eugene Colton says he was relieved by the vote. The margin of victory, 11 votes.
The Brady bill does work, but only for handguns. The alleged White House shooter was refused the sale of a handgun in Colorado Springs, Colorado, but 2 weeks earlier purchased a semi-automatic rifle that he supposedly fired at the White House last month. The owner of the store says Francisco Duran's criminal record turned up on computer records, and he refused to sell him a handgun. The Brady Bill handgun law requires a background check of anyone wanting to buy a handgun. There is no such requirement for people buying semi-automatic rifles. And nursing homes will be running a tighter ship now that new federal regulations can fine nursing homes that fail their inspections. The new regulations will take place in 6 months, and the fines can be as high as $10,000. An American Healthcare Association official says the inspections will help the government concentrate resources on problem homes and not waste time on minor oversights. In the past, the harshest penalties nursing homes could face was the threat of losing Medicaid funds. Now it's time for a big weekend with sports and our soccer team. Jamal, can you tell us what's going on?
Well, it seems that our soccer team is doing very well.
Okay.
I'm sure every student at the Bethany College is very pleased with the soccer team. And a legend is leaving the NBA. We'll find out who is leaving, plus more on sports highlights. So first, let's take a look at today's top program.
School or get medical attention. What's so shocking is these are American children. You can change a child's life with just a phone call and 70 cents a day by sponsoring an American boy or girl through Christian Children's Fund. Call CTF today and become the most important person in the life of a child right here in America.
If you want to be cool, then hear what I say. You gotta go to school every school day. Cause if you want a good job, there's a very simple rule. You gotta get an education, you gotta go to school. You gotta get it all together. You wanna make it pay, you gotta stay in school to graduate today. So be cool, stay in school, be cool, stay in school.
If you want to be cool, stay in school.
Woo!
That's the one. You've got a lot on the line. Don't blow it with cocaine. For your help from the American Medical Association.
Excitement is brewing here in Bethany for Sunday's showdown with the defending NCAA Division III soccer champs, UC San Diego. The Bison earned the right to play in the friendly confines of Hogue Field after an impressive disposing of the 2 top-ranked teams in the South region. Against Greensboro, the top banana in the region, senior goalie Mahil Sahali was brilliant as he chalked up 13 saves and allowing only 1 goal on penalty kicks. Then against West Virginia Wesleyan, a team that had only lost 1 game all season, the Bison engineered their second upset of the weekend. Solly had another stellar performance by recording 10 saves en route to his 11th goose egg of the season. Coach Cunningham says he's happy to be playing at home, but says his team needs to work on some of the kinks that last weekend. The Bisons are 3 games away from the national title. It would be the first. In '82, Bethany was runner-up. And now on to college gridiron. where the West Virginia tailbacker Robert Walker is questionable for Saturday night's game against Temple. Walker has been slow to recovery from an ankle injury suffered against Louisiana Tech. Despite the injury, offensive coordinator Mike Jacobs says he is looking forward to an active running game against Temple's weak defense. The Mountaineers will need to be impressive all the way around if they hope to get bowl bid. Officials from Liberty and the Independence Bowl are both interested in sending an invitation to WVU if they can win the rest of their games. Marshall will try to solidify another playoff spot by beating Furman on Saturday. A win would assure the herd of a tie for Southern Conference crown. At 3-6, Furman is already assured of its first losing season in 1979. So it certainly works flying in Los Angeles Kings locker room. The Daily News reports that Bruce McNall will step down as president and governor of the Kings. Federal authorities say foul mail and bank fraud conspiracy charges have been brought against him. Sources say he will plead guilty to 4 counts. McNall sold 72% of the Kings last spring due to financial problems. Well, the former Notre Dame receiver Michael Miller has been charged with forging checks. Texas authorities claim Miller was in the plan to purchase needless goods which amount to $50,000. Included on Miller's list for things to buy were airline tickets, clothes, and alcohol. Miller is free on $5,000 bond from Fort Bend, Texas. In other scandal news, Wisconsin football coach Barry Alvarez has suspended Rose Bowl MVP Brent Moss, pending the outcome of a drug case. Moss was arrested last night because of possession of cocaine. Moss has been in line to break Billy Marks' Wisconsin career rushing mark. Just last year, Moss gained 158 yards and scored 2 touchdowns as the Badgers beat UCLA. And now on to the NBA, where Madison Square Garden will host the battle of 2 of the league's best big men. Shaquille O'Neal will square up against Knicks center Patrick Ewing. Last night, Shaq lifted up with 46 points and hauling down 20 boards in an overtime win against Charlotte. The Knicks have won both of their first games. And finally, a sad note in the NBA. One of the game's all-time great forwards will say goodbye to the game he loved. James Worthy, on one of the key members of Los Angeles Lakers. Showtime will announce his retirement tonight. Worthy is the last member of the great Lakers team of the 80s, who won 5 world titles in 9 years. Big Game James, as he was known, joined Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper, and Byron Scott to form on the most devastating teams in basketball history. The 30-year-old Worthy, who came to Lakers via North Carolina, leads the game with 3 World Championship rings, 7 All-Star Game appearances, the 1988 World Championship MVP, and of course, the 1982 NCAA Championship, which Worthy was MVP of. The game of basketball will miss James Worthy. That's all for these sports highlights. Back to you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Small. Next on NewsCenter3, we have a Newsmaker interview with Dr. John Cunningham, our very own soccer coach. Just after these messages, stick around.
When I was your age, my mama asked me if I wanted to be a secret friend to a family that was out of work and didn't have food money.
Secret friend?
Every week we'd sneak over and leave a stack of groceries on their front porch. And you never found out, and I never told.
Yeah. Can you keep a secret? Yeah.
Come on, secret friend.
Family values. Pass them on. Your children need them now more than ever. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Make sure we're not wasting water. And last, check that the house is properly insulated. And the best thing, make certain we're recycling all our bottles, cans, and paper.
Gee, Piggy, what can we do to help the environment?
Let's not waste electricity.
To find out what you can do to help, write to Make a Difference, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
What's up?
Maybe someone's trying to tell you something.
Welcome back. Tonight on Newsmaker 3 host is J.C. Catherine. He talks with John Cunningham.
Hello and welcome to Newsmaker 3. I'm your host, J.C. Catherine. Newsmaker 3 is an interview show featuring Bethany people in the news. Newsmaker 3 is produced by students of television production class. Tonight's Newsmaker, Coach John Cunningham, the Bethany soccer team. Thank you for joining us there, and first I'd like to congratulate you on getting a playoff bid.
Thanks, J.C. Pleased to be here again.
And I'd like to ask you, it was questionable if the Bison were going to make the playoffs. Is that due, it was kind of a mediocre start of the season?
Yeah, this has been a difficult year in some ways, and we lost, as you all know from last year, 3 or 4 key players. And the loss of Jake Williams up front, and particularly Walter Gonzalez in the midfield. As we came into the preseason, we had a lot to look at the rebuilding. And as I was just watching right before the show, the Montclair game that they were showing on the station, noticing that we've changed probably 8 or 9 of the starting lineup around in different positions. So every year it's a new challenge to put the chemistry right to make a team work, and it took us a little longer this year before we got the right chemistry. The second half of the season, I think we were playing as well as any Bethany team has in years, but after not getting in the playoffs last year and having 5 losses this year, I wasn't very optimistic come Saturday either. But when that phone call came on Sunday night and we heard that Bethany would be playing, it was quite a relief, and I think really says quite a bit about the reputation that we've been able to have and the strength of schedule that we played did come out to be a very positive thing for us in the end.
With the loss of Frankie Tall partway through the season, Aaron Squire was inserted in the back position. He seemed to anchor the defense. What do you think about the defense, how it's set up now?
Well, the big change came in the defense, and I think in some areas, losing Frankie when we did, and just coming off of the loss with Greensboro College, we knew that we had put ourselves into a real hole for the rest of the season. And so we not only changed personnel, we changed systems. We had been playing with a 4-4-2 basically for the first half of the season, with 4 backs, 4 midfielders, and 2 strikers. And we were having difficulty with a gap between the stopper and the sweeper. And Frankie was such a mobile person, but he came out of the hole a lot. And Sean Neal, not being as mobile, was getting kind of stuck between players sometimes. So what happened when Frankie went out, we decided to switch back to actually a system I used when I first started here. 3 backs, 2 stoppers, 3 midfielders, 2 forwards. It's an old 3-2-3-2. And in doing that, Sean Neal, and we took Eric Freeze, moved him from the front back because he'd been a defender last year, and moved Aaron Squire, Eric Knoll, and David Gross then as our back 5. So what we basically have now is a back 5 and a front 5. And so the defense is only mostly concerned with defending, and the other 5 guys have really been more concerned with going forward. And given our personnel and the particular style of play that we have, it seems to have worked out to be a very good system for us. And as you know, we wound up with 6 shutouts at the end, and that's not just all Male, that's a lot of the defensive players in front of him. So it's worked out quite well.
Speaking of Male, after the West Virginia game, the big save on the penalty kick, he seemed to really pick up his game a lot more. Do you think that has affected the play?
Yeah, I think Mala actually has had a very good year all year. And listening back to your comments in the first couple games of the season, you said, oh, well, we gave up 3 goals to Messiah, 3 to Montclair, but that wasn't any indication of how well Mala played. None of those are really his errors. He's gotten a whole 6 goals right off the bat, and they wound up giving up only 18 for the season. So 1/3 of our goals were given up in the first 2 games. But from that point on, I think you're right, though. That was a turning point not only for Mali, but for our team. Had we lost that game against West Virginia Wesleyan and had 6 losses, we wouldn't be talking about the NCAA today. So with a couple of minutes left to go, the blocking of a penalty kick was just a tremendous vote of confidence for him And I think as watching back on the tape and your comments, you said even then this might be the turning point, and you were a prophet. It did turn out to be that, and from that point on, we haven't given up a goal. That's been great.
On the other end of the field, Seth Saharica, he led the team in goals this season. Are you looking at him in the future for your go-to man? Or?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on what the other team gives us in terms of the way we play. Star Sanyang is the other forward that we moved up front after for the last half of the season. And as he turned out, he's only 4 goals off, or 4 assists off of the all-time assist thing. So with Steph and Star, they seem to be working together. And up front, no individual can do it. It's a matter of chemistry and combination. And I think Steph and Star are working well together with particularly Dowda and Farmer and Pat Ritchie and those guys giving them the balls from the flank.
Thank you, sir, and good luck on the way to Greensboro in the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. This is J.C. Catherine for Newsmaker 3. Thank you.
Thanks, JC. Now here's a reminder for all Bethanians interested in attending the soccer game this weekend against the University of California at San Diego. Admission is $1 for children under age 12, $2 for anyone with a Bethany ID, and it will be $4 for those of you who are just members of the community who'd like to hang out and see the game. Soccer team, as well as the coaching staff, is asking for student, faculty, and community support. Now to Keith and Marilyn.
Well, Marilyn, we had a pretty nice day today. What's the weather look like for this weekend and the big soccer game?
Well, for tonight, it will be clear with a low from 30 to 35. For tomorrow, sunny and cool with a high from 50 to 55. For Saturday, it will be mostly sunny and cool with a high from 50 to 55. And Sunday, it will be mostly sunny with a high in the 50s. So it'll be a nice weekend for the soccer game and whatever else you're doing. Thanks, Marilyn. That's it for this evening's report. Now it's time for NewsCenter3's Pick Song of the Day, supplied by a member of the NewsCenter3 crew.
And don't forget about tonight. The play free over in Wales Theater runs tonight through Saturday night, 8 p.m. Reservations can be made by calling 829-7124.
Also, tonight's selection will be provided by audio engineer Mike Chambers. Be sure to also stay tuned to TV3 for more Bethany Select programming this evening.
And anybody interested in going and taking COM 345, a class offered by Russ Cook for the spring semester, they'll be going to the Caribbean for spring break, and there's a meeting at 6:30 in the barn tonight. So if you're interested, check that out.
And for those of you who are going to be at the game, there's going to be some face painting at 12:30 at the field. So join us again tonight at 7:30 for TV3's presentation of Bethany Bison men's soccer versus Greensboro. For the entire NewsCenter3 staff, thanks for watching and have a nice evening.
Some Americans want changes in health insurance and overall coverage, but they don't want a government-run system. Eye drops may soon help diagnose Alzheimer's patients. Researchers at the Harvard Medical School say a simple test using an eye drop drug would make an early diagnosis possible. That would allow patients to plan while they still can for the inevitable loss of mental ability. Lisa?
In West Virginia news, a former state police spokesman says he was stripped of his duties after revealing information about violence during the 1993 coal strike. Trooper Rick Robinson says he was removed from his post as spokesman for the department and denied a promotion as a result. He filed a lawsuit in Kanawha County Circuit Court seeking compensation. Marshall County Prosecutor Scott Reynolds says he wants state corrections officials to stop sending violent offenders to the Northern Regional Jail in Moundsville. Reynolds says other inmates are at risk and wants a county judge to stop the practice. Governor Caperton says he won't comment on his preference for Senate president. Senate Democrats must choose a new president because current Senate President Keith Burdett of Wood County lost his re-election bid to Republican Frank Dean. Earlier today, Senate Finance Chairman Earl Ray Tomblin said he believes he has Caperton's support and enough votes to win the post. State Senate Republicans say they'll be much more effective now that more of them have won office. Voters added 6 Republicans to the state Senate, bringing their numbers to 8. Senator John Yoder of Jefferson County says that increase will help Republicans block Democratic moves to ram bills through. A Roane County jail inmate remains free today, one day after slipping out of leg irons and disappearing into the woods. Dispatcher Ralph Miller says deputies are still looking for 28-year-old James Dye of Newton. Dye somehow got out of the irons while alone in a courthouse bathroom yesterday afternoon. Okay?
Thank you, Lisa. Today in Pennsylvania news, Republican Rick Santorum continues to bask in his glow of victory today, 2 days after he beat Democrat